Thank you for coming to our third quarter year-to-date briefing, as well as an update on Operation Safe Summer. But some of the partners were FBI, ATF, U.S. Department of Justice, Richmond Police, obviously, Virginia State Police, U.S. Marshals, the DEA, and the Richmond Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And I've mentioned this before, but it's important to note, not only are we short-staffed, the Virginia State Police is certainly short-staffed, as well as our federal partners, but when we asked for help, as all good friends do, they stepped up and helped us in our time of need. So I really must express a lot of thanks to those agencies for the work that was done this summer, some of the work that I'll be discussing now. And as when I get before you, I always like to talk about crime, not just where we were this time last year. I want to talk about it over the course of time. Going back 7 years, during the same time period, so we always want to compare Richmond to Richmond where we were in previous years. So the overall violent crime rate, as you can see, in 2018, at this time, during that time frame, we had 496 violent crimes. During this time, we had 407 for a really 18% reduction. And you can see the trajectory going down. And here's just the same time frame as we were talking about. So all these significant crimes down during that time frame. So murder, non-fatal shooting, robberies, and overall aggravated assault. Those are any assault that's a felony in nature. And another thing I like to talk about is persons shot. We look at 2022, we had 135 during that time period. Last year, we saw a significant reduction to 115. And this year, another reduction on top of that good work to 108. So 20% reduction from this time over in 2022, where we saw that spike in non-fatal shootings. 247 guns are off our street from the men and women behind you. 276 felony arrests, 175 misdemeanor arrests. Very focused area in the Shockoe Bottom on those Friday and Saturday nights when the crowds were biggest. We added Operation Safe Summer to that. You have multiple people walking around with firearms and multiple people who are engaged in partaking in alcohol, and it's just a recipe for disaster. So we flooded that zone. During the month, 33 firearms were seized by the officers of Operation Safe Summer in the Shockoe Bottom alone. 17 were seized by patrol officers doing that same work. And I want to share with you, there's probably 3 times as many guns that we saw that were open carrying, that were not illegal, that we didn't seize. Our officers rapidly responded. As you can see, there was a young lady who pulled a gun out and fired in the air. That is a recipe for disaster when you have other individuals all around them with firearms.
Over the past several months, law enforcement partners worked collaboratively to identify and disrupt individuals that were responsible for violent criminal acts and associated narcotics distribution in the city of Richmond. The use of crime gun intelligence and traditional investigative techniques, including over 50 undercover operations, led to 7 defendants being federally indicted for 51 total counts. Additional charges for other individuals are pending approval and are being pursued. 44 firearms in this investigation were seized, 7 of them stolen.
So now we're going to talk about year-to-date crime. So we finished the third quarter 2 days ago, and as you can see, since in the last 10 years, on a yearly basis, these are the violent crimes that are reported to the Richmond Police Department. But I think this is important for our community to know too. In this day and age of social media, people see things like the video that I showed you about the lady shooting in the air, and crime feels like it's everywhere. It's important to talk about the hard data. And here's a snapshot of our violent crime. So overall, last year I presented on a 7% reduction in overall violent crime. This year, we're on pace for an 8% reduction on top of that good work. Homicides are 18% down, so 55 versus 45. Aggravated assaults, that's any felony assaults, are down 5%. Rapes are down 46%, and then robbery individuals are up slightly. But if you remember at the mid-year, we were way up. So we're doing much better in that. We think it's based upon some of the good arrests we've made where there were hyper offenders of people robbing multiple people over the course of months, that we finally were able to make arrests, and we're not seeing those same type of robberies right now. It's trending in the right direction for us. But that's my message to everyone. Slow down, whether you're on a motorcycle or you're in a car. If you slow down, not only does it give you a better reaction time to not have the crash, but also, if you do have a crash, there's a higher survivability rate. So that's what I would say to folks. And while we're excited about some of the reductions we're seeing, the big reduction we're seeing, we know that 13 is still way too many. And the goal of Vision Zero is zero traffic deaths. We're hoping that once people start getting tickets in those particular areas that they start slowing down. All right, now I'll transition to property crime. Theft from motor vehicles, which is always one of our most challenging crimes, is down 11%. That's really important to us. That is a crime that we are still struggling with. It's still a huge number, but again, doing better than last year. Theft of motor vehicle parts and accessories, and those are majority catalytic converters, also sometimes license plates. That's the one below it that's down 27%. That's again on a huge reduction last year. So that's a good example of utilizing legislation to really solve a problem and great investigation on the catalytic converter theft. So we continue to struggle with shoplifting. That's up 16%. Burglary total, now that's getting more towards the average. Motor vehicle theft up 4%. While that's an increase, it's slowing down from where we were this time last quarter. For an overall increase of property crime of 1%, and major crime over this time last year is flat.